Seterabosi lekingoro satara. Enerabosi.
All right, good morning, great people, and a very big welcome to you as you join the conversation here today on Lagoon Health Talk at Lagoon Radio, as we're broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos. Of course, Lagoon Radio is your number one online gospel radio, powered by the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. And our social media handles are Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at LagoonRadio.Ng, and YouTube LagoonTV. I'll be your host for today, Olabisi Simidele. Okay, the time is 10 minutes past the hour of 11 a.m. Let's go on this music break, and we'll be right back as I give you this one, No Longer Slaves by Jonathan David.
This is Lagoon Radio.
You asked me to let go, but I thought I knew better. Afraid of surrender and what I don't know. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my
All right, you're welcome back, and you are still listening to Lagoon Radio, and this is still the Health Talk here on Lagoon Radio. So, like I said before we went on the break, I said we're going to be discussing a very special topic on mental health, and and this topic is what we call obsessive compulsive disorder. OCD. For a lot of people that used to like OCD means obsessive compulsive disorder. And OCD is a mental illness that causes repeated unwanted thoughts or sensation, especially obsession, or the urge to do something over and over again. That's the compulsion part. And some people can both have they can both have the obsession part and the compulsion part. OCD is not about habits like biting your nails or thinking negative thoughts. As an obsessive thought might be that certain numbers or colors are either good or bad, while a compulsive habit might be to wash your hands 7 times after touching something that could be dirty. Or although you may not want to think or do these things, you feel powerless to stop them. And everybody has habits or thoughts that repeat sometimes. And people with obsessive compulsive disorder have thoughts or actions that either take up at least an hour a day, or actions or habits or thoughts that are beyond one's control, or the ones that are not enjoyable, or the ones that interfere with work, social life, or other parts of one's life. We have some types of OCD. OCD comes in many forms, but most cases fall into at least one of 4 general categories. We have the checking, we have contamination, we have the symmetry and ordering, we have the ruminations and intrusive thoughts. For the checking, this one, checking such as locks, alarm system, ovens, your light switches, or thinking you have a medical condition like pregnancy. We'll go more into that during the course of the show. Then contamination, like you have fear of things that might be dirty or a compulsion to clean. We have mental contamination that involves feeling like you've been treated like a dirt. Then for symmetry and ordering is the need to have things lined up in a certain way. Take for example, maybe you're this kind of person that love to arrange your house or your room in a certain way, and maybe you go out and by the time you come back in, you actually notice that maybe your comb was actually leaving the position you left it, and to another place and stuff like that. So then we have ruminations and intrusive thoughts. This is an obsession with a line of thought, and some of these thoughts might be violent, and also it could be disturbing. We have some symptoms of OCD, because many people who have obsessive compulsive disorder know that their thoughts and habits doesn't make sense, but they can't just help it. Like they just want to do it, because if they don't do it, they won't feel all right. So, and they don't do them because they enjoy them, but they do them because they can't quit. And if they stop, they feel so bad that they even start all over again. So OCD usually begins in the teens or young adult years, but it can start in childhood, as we have some children that I call them finicky. There are some children that are just too finicky, and you'll be like, are you sure you're a child? That's based on that level. So symptoms usually begin gradually and tend to vary in severity throughout life. And the types of obsessions and compulsions you experience can also change over time. And symptoms generally worsen when you experience greater stress. And we actually talked about stress on one of our series. Stress was our first series on mental health, and followed by anxiety, and this is the third. So OCD is usually considered a long life disorder, and it can have mild to moderate symptoms, or it could be so severe and time consuming that it becomes disabling. So let's go on another music break, as we'll be right back to continue our discussion on obsessive compulsive disorders. Stay connected to Lagoon Radio.
You asked me to let go, but I thought I knew better. Afraid of surrender and what I don't know. I've always had a plan, but now I'm so weary and I can't see clearly. Forgot who I am. So won't you make my eyes, your eyes, my ears, your ears, my tears, your tears. And won't you make my hands, your hands, my feet, your feet, my dreams, your dreams. I give up control. Body, mind, and soul. Can't do this on my own, alone. No, I give up control. I speak honestly, I've still got some questions, still fighting the tension, I need some relief. No, I'm no Superman, this is my confession. Been learning my lesson, help me understand. So won't you make my eyes, my ears, your ears, my tears, your tears. And won't you make my hands, your hands, my feet, your feet, my dreams, your dreams. I give up control. Body, mind, and soul. Can't do this on my own. No, I give up control. My voice and sing. I will raise my voice and sing. It's all I've got left to bring. I will raise my voice and sing. I will raise my voice and sing. I will raise my voice and sing. Yeah, it's all I got left to bring. I will raise my voice and sing.
All right, you're welcome back. The time is 22 minutes past 11 a.m. And like I was actually saying earlier, that many people who have OCD know that their thoughts and habits don't make sense, and they don't do them because they enjoy them, but because they can't quit. And if they stop, they feel so bad and they start all over again. So obsessions always have themes to them, such as fear of contamination or death. And don't forget that we're actually talking about obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's actually made up of two parts. We have the obsession part and we have the compulsion part. So I think you choose your own from this one. Because me, I've actually chosen mine, really. So for the obsession part, we have fear of contamination or death, like maybe you're a kind of person that maybe whenever you enter a public bus, you have to clean everywhere before you sit, and anyone that sits beside you, hey, you have to get home and use Dettol to have your bath. and all those things like that. So that's one. Then another one is doubting and having difficulty tolerating uncertainty. That's another theme to the obsession part. Doubting and having difficulty tolerating uncertainty. And another one is needing things orderly and symmetric. Like I said earlier when I was talking about the types of OCD, like you just need things to be symmetric. Like maybe you enter your living room and you see a particular photo frame bending. You're the only one that that can actually see that the photo frame is bent. Other people living in that house did not see that. My producer said the thing is entering. Okay. And you'll be like, why is this photo frame bent to one side like this? I'll be like, this thing is not bent. Sir. No, it's bent. And maybe it's just bent by maybe half an inch. You just tap it a bit and the thing will align. You'll be like, hey, oh my God. And if you have this obsessive disorder, you won't feel all right if you have not adjusted that particular thing. Then another one is aggressive or horrific thoughts about losing control and harming yourself or others. And this is basically you now tend to like control your reaction to things. Maybe whenever someone offends you or someone does something that is not palatable, instead of it to just call a spade and let it and just forget about it, you tend to hold it in and you won't even react, that kind of thing. And you just start thinking, what about if I lose control and everything just starts to spoil, and or if I break his heart or I break her heart, and stuffs like that. And then we also have unwanted thoughts, including aggression or sexual or religious subjects. Unwanted thoughts, obsessive disorder. Take for example, I was going through the social media over the night, and I saw a story of the BRT bus driver. His story, I think a report, one of the report of one of his hearing at the High Court here, and someone like trying to a witness was trying to explain our own experience with the same driver and all that. So that kind of unwanted thoughts, and all that. Then we also have worries about yourself or other people getting hurt. Take for example, maybe I told my producer I was going to travel, and my producer will start to monitor me with phone call till I get to where I'm going to. Where are you now? Are you okay? I actually do that a lot. Are you okay? Are you fine? Like you just be thinking, hey God, hope the road is safe now. Or maybe I now call that person and the person did not pick call. Hey, oh my God. My throat will actually come up to my vocal cord. So that's the way it is. Then for obsession, we also have constant awareness of blinking, breathing, or other body sensations. That's actually one. I'm actually guilty of that too. Then for the last one in obsession, the last theme, suspicion that your partner is unfaithful with no reason to believe it. Like you just sitting down as a man or a woman and looking at your partner and be like, he's having an extramarital affair. She's having an extramarital affair. That's an obsessive disorder. If you don't know, let me tell you today. The person don't want say that again, Solomon.
The person does not want to eat breakfast.
Solomon said the person does not want to eat breakfast. The fear of breakfast is the beginning of obsession. So you really it's actually, so that's why I said this particular topic, it's actually for everyone. Just pick your own. That's the way it is. Then we have some examples of obsession signs and symptoms. Like how do you know you have this obsessive disorder? Number one, I've talked about it, fear of being contaminated by touching objects others have touched. Apart from hygiene, there sometimes you need to be hygienic and all that, but at least, okay, take for example, if I want to use the ATM and someone finish using the ATM, I now carry wipes and first clean the ATM, use the ATM, now clean it again. After I finish cleaning, I'll now go somewhere, I gotta wash my hand. Obsession. And take for example, if you now see wipes or see water to wash your hand, you will not use the ATM. It has become an obsession. It's no longer a normal hygiene anymore. Then doubts that you've locked the door or turned off the stove on your way out. I do that a lot. Like by the time I'm at the door, I have to go back to check if the gas is or if the gas is on or off. I did not cook anything before leaving the house, so but I just have to check. Then after locking the door, I will have to check again. Is this door locked? Especially the car door, especially the one that uses remote. By the time I press the remote and it makes bam bam, and I can see from outside that okay the doors are locked, I will still pull the handle to check if it's okay. That's actually another side and symptom. The other one is intense stress when objects are not orderly or facing a certain way. Like you just get unnecessarily stressed. Like no, this object is not facing where it's supposed to face. No, it's not meant to face this way. Like the object is sitting. Like, why should you just be disturbing yourself? Then we also have thoughts about shouting or acting inappropriately in the public. Jennifer Jubril is listening to me, and I know she's, and I actually know she falls into this category. She doesn't even have the thought alone to shout. At times she shouts. And in the public, you just shout. Then we also have, Jennifer, don't come for me. We also have avoidance of situations that can trigger obsessions, such as handshakes. I know a lot of people that they don't shake hands at all. No matter how much they like you, if you stretch your hand, forget it, they will not shake it. So that's actually those are actually the signs and symptoms of obsessive disorder. Then we also have as with obsessions, compulsions typically have themes. As we discussed the themes for obsessions, now this one is for compulsions. Like this thing, I must do it, even if it's not necessary. I must do it. Number one, washing and cleaning. Like you can clean from now till eternity. Then checking, just be checking up and down. Then counting, like needing to count weird things like steps, like bottles, like the number of squares in of square meters of tiles in your room. You know, I used to do that a lot when I was younger. Like I would count how many tiles they laid on the floor of the room or the floor of the living room. Forget it. If I see tiles, I must count. But I think adulthood have collected that one. Then we also have orderliness. Orderliness, like you just want everything to be in order, to everything to. It's not a crime, really. Like you just want everything to just. If that particular thing cannot follow a particular order, forget it. It's not going to work. You understand? If you're that, you could be that kind of person. Then another one, following a strict routine, like you're not ready to bend your routine. You already have your routine, you have it. Like this is how I'm used to this particular routine. This is how I do my thing, and it must be that way. Compulsions. Then demanding reassurance. Take for example, maybe you're in a deal with someone, or someone wants to do a particular work for you. And after you've agreed, the person has given you his or her word, and you be like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, you're just demanding that reassurance. That's another theme for compulsion. Then doing tasks in a specific order every time, or a certain good number of time. Like a particular task, you want to clean the table, you've cleaned the table low. You saw that the table is clean, you still come back and still clean it again, like you know. Then another one is fear of touching doorknobs, fear of using public toilets. It's another theme for compulsion. So we have the examples of compulsion signs and symptoms, which includes hand washing until your skin becomes raw. I actually put it that way, like, so people can wash their hand, like that hand will now, the hand will stop feeling like a hand anymore. That's one thing. Then another one, checking doors repeatedly to make sure they are locked. Checking stove repeatedly to make sure if it's off. Now you off that stove, but you still they check them. And you checked it, you did not see fire there, you still go back and check it again. Then counting certain patterns, like I said. Silently repeating a prayer. Silently repeating a word or a phrase. Then arranging your canned goods to face the same way. Maybe you have some My producer is laughing.
Because you are eating the nail on the head.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Like you have some canned goods, you have some bottled goods, some carton goods. You now arrange. There's a way you arrange those canned goods. Like, okay, these are the canned goods. They will face the east. The bottled goods will face the north. The plastic one will face the south, and they must be that way. Like if you've not arranged it, your body will not calm down, So that's not about that. Now let's discuss obsessive compulsive disorder causes and risk factors. Basically doctors are not sure why people have OCD, and stress can actually make the symptoms worse, and it's a bit more common in women than in men. And for symptoms of OCD, severity varies, as OCD usually begins in teen or young adult years, like I said earlier, but it can start in childhood. And symptoms usually begin gradually and tend to vary in severity throughout one's life. And the types of obsession and compulsion you experience can change over time. And like I said earlier, the symptoms generally could worsen when you experience greater stress. And OCD usually is considered a lifelong disorder, and can have mild to moderate symptoms, and it could be so severe or time consuming that it becomes disabling. I've said that earlier. So now the risk factors. We have some risk factors that include if you have a parent, a sibling, or a child with OCD. That's number one. If you have one of your parents that is an OCD type, like is a finicky, just wants things to, all those signs and symptoms I have outlined. So you actually tend to have this particular obsessive compulsive disorder. Then we have physical differences in certain parts of the brain. I'm not saying everyone with OCD has a physical difference in certain parts of your brain. Yours can be genetic, yours can be hereditary, and yours can be physical. So my OCD could be physical, your own OCD could be hereditary, and your another person's own could be a trigger from an environmental factor and all of that. So that's then we also have another risk factors: depression, anxiety. We have experience with trauma. Like if you're kind of person that have actually had experience with trauma, maybe like the rape victims and all that, they tend to have some certain thoughts. And if you're kind of person that maybe you once experienced, you were a patient of toilet infections. Maybe after you got infected by using a public restroom, you now have pelvic inflammatory disease and all of that toilet infections. You'll be so careful to use a public toilet. If it's not the toilet in your house, my dear, there's no two way about it. There's nothing that can make you use restroom outside. No matter how pressed you are, I know what I'm saying. So then if you have a history of physical or sexual abuse as a child, like I said earlier, that's another risk factor. So sometimes a child might have OCD after a streptococcal infection, and this is also called pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder. It's associated with streptococcal infections as well. Okay, let's go on another music break, as we'll be right back to discuss the diagnosis and the treatment of OCD. Stay connected to Lagoon Radio.
You asked me to let go, but I thought I knew better. Afraid of surrender and what I don't know. I've always had a plan, but now I'm so weary, and I can't see clearly, forgot who I am. So won't you make my eyes, my ears, your ears, my tears, your tears. And won't you make my hands, your hands, my feet, your feet, my dreams, your dreams. I give up control. Control. I speak honestly, I've still got some questions, still fighting the tension, I need some relief. No, I'm no Superman, this is my confession. Been learning my lesson, help me understand. So won't you make my eyes, my ears, your ears, my tears, your tears. And won't you make my hands, your hands, my feet, your feet, my dreams, your dreams. I give up control.
This is Lagoon Radio.
I will raise my voice and sing. I will raise my voice and sing. It's all I've got left to bring. I will raise my voice and sing.
All right, you're welcome back, and you are still listening to Lagoon Radio, broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos, and this is still your favorite health talk show here on Lagoon Radio, which comes up every Tuesday between the hour of 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Okay, we are rounding up gradually, and like I said earlier, we actually discussed what obsessive compulsive disorder is. That is OCD. So in case you hear OCD outside, you will know that it's obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's a mental health issue. And like I said, it's a mental illness that causes repeated unwanted thoughts, sensations, which are obsessions, or the urge to do something over and over again, which are the compulsions. And I said earlier that some people can have both obsessions and compulsions, and some can have just the obsession part, and some can also have just the compulsion part. And OCD is not about habit. It's not about habit, really. And basically, OCD, it's people living with OCD, it's not that they don't know, they know that their habits don't make sense, but they can't just do without them. And it's not that they do them because they enjoy them, but they can't just quit doing those things. So, and if they stop doing them, hey, they will feel so bad, and they will now start. They tend to start all over again. And we talked about the obsession themes, which are fear of contamination or getting dirty, doubting and having difficulty in tolerating uncertainty, needing things to be in order or symmetrical, and so on and so forth. We also talked about the OCD types, which are checking your locks, checking your alarm systems, your oven, your light switches, if they are okay, if you turned off your gas before leaving the house, and all that. And we also have contamination, which are fear of things that might be dirty or a compulsion to clean. And also a mental contamination part, which involves you feeling like you've been treated like a dirt. Then we also have symmetry and ordering, which are which is the need to have things lined up in a certain way. Like there's a way you just want your things to be arranged, nothing more and nothing less. Then we also have another type, which are ruminations and intrusive thoughts. And that's an obsession with a line of thought, and some of these thoughts might be violent, it might actually be disturbing as well. So what are the diagnoses of obsessive compulsive disorder? We have two main diagnoses, which includes physical examination and blood tests to make sure something else is not causing your symptom. Like I said earlier, stress could make your OCD, it could worsen your OCD. So you could need some physical examination and blood tests to make sure that something else is not actually triggering your OCD. Then we also have another diagnosis, like discussion about your feeling, your thoughts or habits. Like you have to just discuss it with an expert, a therapist, let me put it that way. A therapist discuss about your feelings and your thoughts and discuss about your habits. And there's no one that doesn't have this. And basically, it's not a course, really. It's a normal way of life. But at the same time, you need to put it to check as well. Because there are some things you just need to look away from, like, let me just look away, and all that. If not, you end up stressing yourself unnecessarily. Okay, for the treatment of OCD, there's no cure for OCD. There's no cure for obsessive compulsive disorder, but you can actually manage how your symptoms affect your life through medications, through therapy, or you can do that through combination of both medications and therapy. And we have some treatment which includes psychotherapy, relaxation, medication, and neuromodulation. For psychotherapy, we have something we call cognitive behavioral therapy, which can help you change your thinking patterns. And in a form called exposure and response prevention, you will be put in a situation designed to create anxiety or set of compulsion. And you also learn to listen and then stop your OCD thoughts and action. So it's a learning process, really. It's a learning process. Then for the relaxation, simple things such as meditation, yoga, and massage can help you. It can help you to manage stressful OCD symptoms. So, and I'm recommending that really. You just need to try that. You need to try meditation. You need to try yoga. You need to try massage. Like, hey, by the time you finish like this, you will sleep. Like your nerves will just be calm, and you're going to do all right. Okay. We also have medication. Medication such as psychiatric drugs called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors can help many people control obsession and compulsions, though they might take up to 2 to 4 months to start working. So, and like I said, like I used to say at the start of our mental health series here on Lagoon Radio, do not be afraid or do not be ashamed to walk up to a psychiatrist. Just go to the psychiatric hospital, go to a psychiatrist, and have a discussion with him or her. It's not only mad people that need a psychiatrist, really. Everyone going through mental health issue needs a psychiatrist, like for evaluation, for a discussion, like having someone to have a heart-to-heart talk with. So then the last type of treatment is neuromodulation. And this neuromodulation, in rare cases, when therapy and medication are not making enough difference, your doctor would actually talk to you about devices that can actually change the electrical activity in a certain way or in a certain area of your brain. If your brain is overcharged, you will tend to be hyperactive. It's actually normal. Like your brain is out of this world. Like the way you're thinking it's actually like ×3 or ×5 or ×6 of how a normal person thinks, really. But it's not a bad thing, but at the same time you actually need to put it in check so that you would not start overreacting to things that you're not supposed to overreact to. And one kind transcranial magnetic stimulation, it's actually FDA approved treatment for OCD treatment. This particular one uses magnetic fields to stimulate your nerve cells. And we also have a more complicated procedure, which is deep brain stimulation, which uses electrodes that are implanted in the head. Then the TMS, the transcranial magnetic stimulation, the unit is a non-invasive one. They don't need to open up anywhere. It's a non-invasive device that is held above the head to induce the magnetic field, and it targets a specific part of the brain that regulates the OCD symptoms. So basically, do not forget, consult a psychiatrist. Like I said earlier, everyone is guilty of mental health. Like we're all patients of mental health issues. If you're going through stress, you're a patient of mental health. If you're the anxious type, anxiety, a patient of mental health. And if you're an OCD person, like obsessive compulsive person, another level of mental health that you are not even aware of, but it exists. So, all right, that'll be all for today on today's edition of the Health Talk Show here on Lagoon Radio. Do join me same time next Tuesday on another fresh edition of the mental health series here on Lagoon Radio. Next week is another interesting topic, which is psychosis and schizophrenia. All right, stay connected to Lagoon Radio. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng. I still remain your host, Olabisi Simidele. Okay, do have a nice morning. Bye.
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand.